Hello, and thank you for coming to the show today. My name is Kira, and this is Kira of All Trades. Today, we're going to discuss PR, which is public relations, and its importance. I had no clue how important this task was or this job was, so in the last couple of weeks, I have learned plenty, and I would just like to share. So, again, thank you for coming to the show. This is Kira of All Trades on Phresh Phactory TV. This is the counterpart to go with the business called Phresh Phactory Inc. And I just did an interview not too long ago, and I think what I learned was that I wasn't very clear about what Phresh Phactory Inc. does. Essentially, we manage staff for startups, but in a longer form, Phresh Phactory Inc. invests in purpose-driven startups by providing well-trained, managed, and highly productive workforces to assist businesses in scaling now. I think that gets the point across. So yes, thank you so much for tuning in. Today, I just want to talk about the importance and the details of what PR covers, and why having public relations matters. So, in the last couple of weeks, while trying to get Phresh Phactory TV and Kira of All Trades off the ground, we have had a need to expand the reach. And so there are plenty of platforms that you can do that. You can do that via social media. You can do that in newspapers, newsletters, emails, the actual news, different types of journals. You can get on people's podcasts. You can get on people's television shows. There's just a plethora of options that will bring your business forward. So, to begin with, public relations is described as a way to keep a public persona or public image positive. So this means that you can manage this for a business, you can manage it for an individual person, an influencer, a famous person, in order to make sure that there's always something positive about them. So the point that you want to have a positive outcome or a positive view is really important. Today I have notes, so we're going to go through what I have. Those professions, their whole goal is to be able to do their best and help the business or the person to be able to perform what they are really skilled at in a way that people can see and have a growth potential for the person or for the corporation or for the group, etc., that the PR company manages. So what I learned is that there are lots of different types of public relations groups. So there is strategic communications, which is probably every communication that a PR firm gives you is strategic. Meaning, even whenever they're having the first conversation with you, whenever they're deciding who they want to work with or whether it's a match, every conversation or every interaction should be strategic, if you ask me. So, in the last few weeks or few months, I have had interactions with PR firms looking for a match, looking for a group of professionals who do public relations that will be able to put, again, a positive image of Phresh Phactory Inc. out. So we just haven't had any publicity, period, throughout our long history of working. So what we wanted to do is to be able to work with professionals who have experience doing that. So this is one thing that I've learned over my time of putting teams together, is that some people just have a natural knack for things, and then some people have experience doing things, and they may not actually have the complete follow through or the complete natural feel for what is desired from that position. So I'll tell you what happened. I spoke with a few PR firms that seemed like a good match. Um, because Phresh Phactory Inc. is a boutique human capital management firm, I like to work with other boutique firms, whether that is, and boutique just means specialized. That means that they're just not a big, large corporation that is able to take on any kind of whatever. They're very specialized in a specific area so that they can give better outcomes to those people that are a match, or those groups that are a match. So again, for Phresh Phactory Inc., we work with startups. We are a digital first company, so that means that all that we do is distance internet. Um, those are parts of our business. So if there's a business that wants everyone to show up to a specific location at a specific time every day, it's not a match for us. And we just make that clear to begin with, so that way we can get exactly to our target audience. So again, we wanted to work with a boutique PR firm who understands that there's a digital first orientation for our business, and I wanted also one that had a digital first orientation for their business as well. Which means that, they're going to find us places to go, which are podcasts, or take care of our social media and things like that that we really need assistance with. So I narrowed it down to about three PR firms that were boutique in nature. And again, this is not a process that you can do overnight, unless you just pick the first one that you see, and that totally makes sense if that's what you're trying to do for speed. But I was looking for a long-term partner, so we went through the process with a couple of PR firms, and the one that I ended up speaking with, of course, it takes a long time before you get to the main person, right? So you're gonna talk to the underboss, and then you're gonna talk to the junior. No, not you're not even gonna talk to the underboss. You're gonna talk to the person who is doing the qualification, and then you'll talk to the next person, and then you'll talk to the next person, to make sure that you are actually a fit before you get to the main people who are, their time is worth a lot of money because of their skills in that area, right? That's any business. So in this instance, the very first conversation that I had was probably with someone who I would think that it's more of a person whose job is to get information about the company that's looking for PR work. Make sure that they're a match, provide them with any necessary documentation, answer any questions, and then set the next appointment. So, one of the questions that I ask, because a lot of times companies ask you questions, and I think it is very important for each group to qualify each other. Um, I never sit in a situation where I'm the only one answering questions. So, of course, they want to know what kind of business we're in. I've explained what kind of business we're in, just basic details, where we're located, etc. So when it got to the point where they spoke about prices, because they were very adamant about the fact that they were not a cheap business, that if you didn't have a large monthly budget for PR, you could basically just hang it up, because what they're going to provide you is going to be such a bang up um, outcome that it's going to be worth these dollars and more. So I I just wanted to know what was going on, so I just went through the process, and I guess I wasn't sure about the budget. I don't think they actually said how much it was, but you know, I'm just going to go through the process and find out what they mean. I mean, if they're going to get you the results, then you get what you pay for, and you're paying for results. So I totally understood. One of the questions that I asked, because again, I guess it's not normal for people to ask questions both ways when they're being qualified, is how many black people work for their PR firm? And I don't think I was ready for the response. Um, for one, the response, I take that back. The initial response for my question about how many black people worked for the PR firm was that the person didn't know, which is fine. I mean, the answer that I got was that the PR firm was large and that the person didn't know how many black people worked for the PR firm, which is fine. I said, okay, just get back to me with that information and that'll be fine. I'm sure there's a long way to go before we, get to work or exchange any dollars. So that's fine. Just let me know. So later on in the conversation, probably two questions later, because the person asked me why did I ask that, and I just basically said that I wanted to, ensure that there was opportunities for the people that represent my demographic as well to be employed there, not necessarily just to be the people who are paying. So the response to my commentary from the representative was, if I was so concerned about black people doing PR, why didn't I just hire a black PR firm to begin with? To which I commented that my understanding was that anybody could do public relations who chooses to be in that arena, but that the mission doesn't have to be completed by black people. I just want to reach black people because that's my demographic. That I'm part of that demographic. So it's perfectly fine to work with any group of anyone in the whole entire world. Being a digital first company, we have worldwide reach. But what I don't want is to miss the part of the demographics that I am a part of by birth. I actually thought about it, and that probably made me make my next move, which I'm very grateful for. So I'm glad that that happened. I'm glad that the PR firm had that kind of response, because that most definitely helped me take my next move very seriously. So once I kind of digested the situation and figured out that that situation really did happen and that I needed to make a move for my own company in light of that. So, because I'm in the job of making teams and finding people who are great at specific jobs, I made the next best move for me. I actually looked at the staff that I had and what their skills and abilities were, and I actually plucked someone from my team who was doing something else and replaced them with someone else who was very, very skilled in being able to accomplish that job, and made myself a PR person that was already on my team, who for now is doing a very great job, and for the future is learning so much that they might probably become a better PR person than the person that I was looking to hire, grown from in-house. So I just want to talk about the different kinds of PR that there are. And the first one that I spoke about was the strategic communications, public relations, and as I mentioned, the strategic communication that I received from the PR company that I last interviewed. Actually, it was the first one that I actually interviewed. It was the third one that I had applied to, and they responded first, and that definitely turned me off from the rest of the process. Although I'm sure the other ones are not like that. I think that was serendipity. Anyway, every strategic communication should be what the PR firms are looking for. So that is a type of public relations, is strategic communications. There's also media relations, which, if you ask me, most of the time when people say PR, when people say public relations, this is what they're talking about. And what this is to inform newspapers, TV, radio about what you have going on, whether you're the business or the famous person or the influencer, etc. This is what we think about when we think about public relations. We think about a group that has communications with, contact with, telephone numbers, emails, good relationship with those television shows, those podcasts, those newspapers, those radio shows, so that you, as the person who's being represented, can get on to those platforms faster than someone else who they don't know. So this is the reason why you're paying a PR company, is to use their influence to be able to get you where you want to be faster. There's also community relations, and this is a lot to do with where a business or a person is located. It is the interaction between the business, let's call it the business, or the person or the famous person, and where they're located. So this is, the local famous person who came from your neighborhood that gives away turkeys on Thanksgiving. This is the startup company that's located in San Francisco who helps the local neighborhoods YMCA to be able to give away a certain amount of memberships per year. This is that kind of stuff. This is, we as a company have donated X amount of dollars in the name of said nonprofit, so that we can benefit where we're located, so that we're a good neighbor. So in this instance, this would be community relations. Internal communications. This is planned internal communications, which, as a matter of fact, even though this is considered to be a public relations area, this is actually something that Phresh Phactory Inc. does. This is where you already write down ahead of time, plan, schedule information that is going to be given within a company. So this can be training, this can be processes, this is anything that is communicated prior. This is information that is communicated and written and structured prior to its output. So this is not standing up on the podium and just freestyling and saying exactly what you think off the top of your head. This is something that has already been written. This is sometimes the CEO giving a speech to everyone who works at the company. This is information that is structured and pre-planned. Sometimes training, as I mentioned, is part of this because it's pre-planned. This is something that on the hiring, everyone will have to take. So this is something that is done ahead of time and made sure that it's properly oriented, that it's done bullet points, that it includes everything, that the correct wording is used, etc. And crisis communication is another type of public relations. And crisis communication, as everyone probably knows, is, for instance, um, a show called Scandal covered this. This is where something not the best is happening, and there is a person who not necessarily cleans it up, or a company. It's just a way to handle this negative and turn it into a positive, or erase it. There's all kinds of ways to handle it, but it's most definitely a situation. This is probably not somebody who you always hear from, always someone that you see, or always, this can be a company as well. But it's certainly a level of communication that has to be kind of finessed in a way to keep things positive, because as you remember, a public relations outcome should be as positive as possible. That's their job. That's the job of a crisis communicator in the public relations arena. I wouldn't want that job. I can't lie. I don't want to. I don't want to be in the middle of it, but this is someone's job. And probably because most of us wouldn't want to participate in anything like that, I can imagine that that's one of the higher paid positions within the PR world. So if you know how to make those words wiggle, that might be an area that you want to participate in. Who knows? Okay. Also, there is public affairs. And public affairs is probably something that's very irritating to the normal person, because this has to do with how businesses track and organize their external business processes to influence public policy. And then that also has a part in it that maintains the relationships with those legislators, and then they monitor what happens with the stakeholders, meaning the public. So there's layers, there's levels to this that include lots of influence that end up affecting the normal day-to-day person. So, you most definitely have a layer of professionalism with the public affairs, public relations area that we probably don't want to know about. I mean, it's happening. We probably don't want to know about it, but we probably do need to know about it. But yeah, yeah. So public affairs, public relations. And then the fun one is online and social media communications, which I need. So if you're really great at social media and online presence, I need someone who can design a really great website, someone who wants to post shorts, someone who wants to make sure that people get information about these episodes before they come out. So if you're interested, please email info@freshfactory.co. Please send your information in the subject line. Say online and social media communications. But yeah, today's episode about public relations is probably really informative. And what I want to say is that, it doesn't necessarily take a professional that has, I don't know exactly what people do to become public relations in the regular professional realms. I would suggest something like a communications degree or things like that. But what I want to say is that if there's so many different types of public relations. If you have experience in a plethora of areas, I can see those experiences turning into a good basis for these. We always talk about taking your experience and making it useful for where you want to be. So if you want to participate in public relations and you have a law degree but you didn't pass the bar, I can most definitely see you participating in public affairs. I don't know that this is a job that I've ever heard about. Maybe in my growing up, but as I've gotten older, I realize that there's a lot of influence that is going on. And if you have some types of experience, I can see this being very important. So, yes, even the online and social media communications, public relations portion, if you're a younger person, if you're probably 18, even if you don't have experience in a professional manner, I can most certainly see someone becoming really, really great at that because it is a level of experiences that have been attained through regular activity. This is not something that anyone had to teach you. You just grew up in a digital world and you were posting on social media and you probably think it's fun and it's probably not even a job. That's how you know that you're doing something that you're supposed to be doing when you're being paid to do something that you'd be doing for free anyway, which a lot of people do. So yes, today's episode about public relations, I learned a lot while doing the research for this, and I just want to thank my team for participating and being able to be so flexible and learning and helping to get Phresh Phactory TV off the ground. As we all are beginning to think about what we want to do next, one thing that we've learned is that we have to keep on learning and be flexible. Our experiences today could turn into anything tomorrow if we just let them. There's no need to decide today that this is the last thing you're going to be and that's it. It just doesn't give you any options. And on Cure of All Trades, I always talk about options. So, thank you very much for watching the show. If you're interested in, if you're interested in getting your hair braided and you're in Houston, please contact the website below. We now manage the customer service for the braid shop that has been braiding my hair for so long. We're so happy to be able to work with them. And we're about to open up the customer service for other professions, barbers, other braid shops, hair shops, because what we've noticed is that it really takes a lot of time away from the professional to have to answer questions, to have to deal with cancellations, etc. So if you are a professional, any of those, nails, skin, masseuse, braider, any of those things, and you're interested in having your customer service managed by Phresh Phactory Inc., we're taking inquiries. So please give us a call at the number below. Email us at info@freshfactory.co. Please just in the subject line, just say whatever your profession is, and we'll be glad to give you an appointment to be able to speak. We'll just have a quick consultation and we'll figure out what's the best situation that we'll be able to assist you with. So yes, again, thank you so much for watching the show. It's been great. I learn a lot from every episode, and it makes me a better human capital manager because now I know more about different positions that I didn't know before. So when I hire for them, there's most definitely a symbiotic relationship between me and the person because I'm not hiring from ignorance. I'm hiring from a place of, maybe not full intelligence, but a little bit more knowledge. Oh, yes. Also, if you're located in the Brooklyn area and you have a bicycle and you want to do a fun job, which is kind of like a courier, please let us know. Yes, email us at info@freshfactory.co. So what we're looking for is we're looking for people to ride their bikes who live in Brooklyn to look for new restaurants. So new restaurants open up, and one of our clients has a more than a database, but for this specific job, it is to do with adding more restaurants to the database that they have, but they're specifically looking for black-owned restaurants in Brooklyn that have been missed. So even if you don't have experience being a courier or anything like that, and you're just interested in doing a part-time job, please reach out to us. info@freshfactory.co. In the subject line, write courier, and we'll be glad to speak with you. You do need to have a bicycle of your own. You do need to live in Brooklyn. But yes, if you don't have experience being a courier, that's fine. The main thing that you need is a bicycle and to be able to follow a map, because we just want to make sure that we're not duplicating areas with multiple people. And yes, please feel free to give us an email or call us and let us know that you're interested. So yes, again, I've said thank you 1,000 times, but thank you so much for watching this episode of Kira of All Trades on Phresh Phactory TV. I really, really appreciate it. Okay, so next week we'll see you again. Thank you. Bye.